If true, this changes absolutely everything for the Spurs, and the Kevin Durant sweepstakes is on the heels of Bill Simmons suggesting that a Kevin Durant trade could very likely be done already. Another source has come forward indicating that their anonymous source says the trade is already done. We have to dive into this new report, what it means, but it's not just that. We have another report from Amico saying that Kevin Durant would want to go to the San Antonio Spurs. They are his destination. The reports are coming out like wildfire right now, and we're here to dive into all of them. And we're going to start here that Kevin Durant reportedly prefers a trade to San Antonio per Amico Hoops. Now, these reports are coming out left and right? We're seeing them from one source, then another, and then we're seeing maybe Kevin Durant wants to go. We hear the stuff from John Gambadoro, one of the top Phoenix Suns reporters. He said that the name of the San Antonio Spurs has been a team name that has surfaced from different people Kevin Durant has talked to in his inner circle. We hear people talking about it more and more and more. We hear reported trade packages, how the Phoenix Suns want to move him. And now today from Amico Hoops, Kevin Durant reportedly prefers a trade to San Antonio. It's just keeps coming out. Like, where there's smoke, there's fire, right? We're adding fuel day by day here. And I'm to the point now where if this trade doesn't go down, I'm going to feel disappointed, because all of the signs are pointing to this happening, and not just happening, but happening any day now. We're about 2 weeks away from the NBA draft, and you have to imagine that the Phoenix Suns would want this trade done before that, especially if it would involve, which it almost certainly would, a San Antonio Spurs draft pick, likely being the 14, not the 2. Team draft Dylan Harper, don't get it twisted. But Kevin Durant right now, again, like, I'm seeing more and more Spurs fans come around on this idea, especially with the recent reports that the trade package would be less than we would expect. Right now, there was a recent report that said Jeremy Sochan could very likely be made a part of this deal. That came from Evan Siddery. I don't believe I have the screenshot anymore. No, I don't. But still, Evan Siddery suggested that, which is something that I would not want. And I saw a lot of you guys tended to agree with that. And I think so. Look, he's been putting in the work this offseason as well. I'm super hyped for what he can bring next year and the years beyond, especially his three-point shot. I think that could very well be improved. But right now, again, this report just keeps adding fuel to this fire that we're talking about. But it doesn't stop there, because we have multiple. And the thing that we're going to get into stemmed from Get Up. It was Brian Windhorst once again. Now, he was saying Kevin Durant is expected to be trading in the coming weeks. Now, he said the Knicks are among the teams likely to pursue him. Sure, I'm sure they would pursue him, because the New York Knicks, it was just revealed, made a big offer for Kevin Durant at the trade deadline. But don't forget, the San Antonio Spurs were also a team that had some interest in Kevin Durant. There was reportedly mutual interest at the trade deadline. So he just mentioned the Knicks, but the Spurs go right there hand in hand. And the final thing I wanted to talk about, the big part of this video that you've been sticking around for, is this. Now, again, the reason we talk about if true this changes everything, because this source, there are not a lot of confirmed things here. However, I just want to say, like, again, it's if true, because this goes back to the Bill Simmons thing. It's Bucks Realm on Twitter. Now, reportedly, they have gotten some details right. They have a lot of news that is right. They've had some stuff that is wrong. And again, this is quite a bit of speculation, but stick with me here, okay? They say they have it on. I have it on good authority. This is a response to this tweet, by the way. I have it on good authority that the San Antonio deal is already done. Stop trying to push your Knicks agenda, which is not the greatest thing you'd want to see from a source, but listen, I tend to start to believe at least a little bit. Now, look, I've done my fair share of believing people on Twitter or different social medias that end up being wrong. But, especially with all the smoke here, it's easy to say something like this. But hey, we'll just take it for what it's worth. Just what I've heard from my Connect. Yes, he will remain nameless. Yes, I know thousands will clown me and not believe a word. I do not care. Fair enough. I don't necessarily believe a word. But if this is true, this does just play off of what Bill Simmons had to say just the other day, where he said, again, reminder, Bill Simmons did not present this as a report. He said he does not have insider information. Do not aggregate this. I'm just talking about the talking point that he brought up because I think it's interesting. And I agree. He said I wouldn't be surprised if KD to the Spurs is done already and they just haven't announced it. Basically, they've agreed on specifics. Just announce it on the week of the draft. Get the voice right. Locking in for Kevin Durant. Too excited. Sometimes the voice just wants to jump for joy because the Spurs are getting Kevin Durant. Haven't you experienced the same? Probably not. Anyway, this goes back to the Giannis thing, and he mentioned, look, might be able to be real competitive, maybe go a couple rounds in the playoffs, but they're also going to keep the number 2 pick and do it that way. And so this is where it gets very interesting, right? It was on the heels of Bill Simmons saying this that we see this report today. Believe it if you want to believe it, don't believe it if you don't want to. I tend to lean on the side of I don't believe this, But again, it's the second time this year. Bucks realm has reportedly got some things right in the past, specifically to the Bucks. They tend to retweet and source a lot of information to the Bucks. They have like over 7,000 followers, so it's not a complete nothing account. And look, do I believe that they have an inside source in the Kevin Durant situation? Not necessarily. But again, this is something where, as I've talked to you guys about, where there's smoke, there's fire. And the idea that Kevin Durant wants to go to the Spurs, the fact that the reports are, well, the betting odds are the heavy favorite for the Spurs. Like, again, betting odds can swing overnight, but a lot of the time when betting odds swing so drastically over the course of like a weekend, yes, I know there were some Kevin Durant reports, like it means something, right? And again, it's maybe more reports that Kevin Durant wants to go to the Spurs. You see reports like this today that he reportedly prefers a trade to San Antonio, starting to come out from more and more established sources in the industry. The betting odds that had us even with Houston last week had the San Antonio Spurs jump way ahead just yesterday when they released. I think it was Bovada official, had the Spurs at plus 110, the Rockets at plus 250, which, you know, Spurs have over double the odds than now the Houston Rockets. So again, with all of this coming out, to hear Bill Simmons suggest, hey, maybe it might be done. This could very well be an idea because, you know, again, you don't just, I know Bill just said that because you're talking about what if Kevin Durant to the Spurs. And hey, if it is done, it's probably already done. And I understand he's not saying that as, I know it's done, just trying to hide it. But the more you're hearing from other different sources around the league, I mean, the Knicks, yeah, maybe they could trade for him, but the fact the Spurs have the best assets, they have Wembanyama, they have the option to trade a guy like Sochan, who I don't want to move, but you have that option. You have Vassell, you have Harrison Barnes, you have draft capital, you have ways to make this trade work financially, and you can give the Suns back one of their picks that they really covet right now. Like, one of their big reports is that the Phoenix Suns want to get back their draft capital, and we know Houston has the number 10 pick in the draft that originally belonged to the Phoenix Suns, and that has reportedly been something the Suns are trying to go after, and it's why the Rockets are number 2, because Durant, hey, look, he went to college in Texas, right? San Antonio, Houston, it makes a lot of sense. Dallas, see ya, out the window, no way, but Dallas was actually in on this for a little bit. But still, the Spurs have that 14th pick, and that could be just as valuable to them as the number 10 pick in a draft right now where there's a lot of names that are hovering anywhere from like 8 to 17 kind of thing. There's a lot of names there in that top 5, but after that, you start to see some more questions. Getting another first-round pick back in a trade is something the Phoenix Suns really want to do. And the more we're seeing every single day, the more I truly believe that it is genuinely happening, that Kevin Durant is coming to the Spurs. And I've kind of just put aside my biases to, like, I want to keep our young guys, which I still do, and I don't want to give up Sochan. But if it is Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, and the 14th pick, I'm cool with that, especially if Durant, like, if he wants to go here, I think he would sign an extension at a reasonable price tag. Now, sometimes people get into their late 30s, they prioritize making money, but Kevin Durant has always just seemed like a chill guy, a guy who wants to hoop. He didn't, you know, as much as he says he doesn't care what people think, he is responding to people on Twitter, stuff like that, but he wants to win. He wants to play some good basketball. What better place than San Antonio? He's a great fit. I need to hear from you guys. These reports are coming out like crazy, and look, I mean, if it's true, it changes everything. It's straight up true that this trade is already done. I don't know. I'm excited. I'm beyond excited. This Durant stuff has got me jumping out of my seat, got my voice jumping out of its seat, just like you heard in this video. Can't wait for more, but that'll do it for this episode of Spurs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel, guys. We got big stuff coming, live streams coming soon. If that sounds good to you, hit that button down below. We'd really appreciate it. I've been your host, Josh Goss, and I'll catch you in the next one.